series, final scores, things like that. Let's bring in my guest. His name is Tanner, and let's welcome him in.
Hey, John. Thanks for
What's
having
up?
me.
Yeah, so talk about your channel, who you are, let the fans know what you do, what you cover.
Hey, guys. Thank you so much for letting me come on to the 49er Ultimate Report Show. My name is Tanner Pfeiffer. I cover all NFL news, trying my best to become like a freelance NFL insider. Um, so if you want to follow me on Instagram, it's Pfeiffer Football. I have currently, I think, a little over 37,000 followers. So I try to become a more reliable source for people. My YouTube channel as well. I post every single day. So I just try to keep you guys up to date on everything that happens around the NFL. So not only if you're a 49ers fan, but if you're an NFL fan, please feel free to subscribe to me. I'd really appreciate it. And been doing this for about a year and a half, close to 2 years now.
Yeah. So as I mentioned, everybody who's watching the show, I've been following this guy for probably around after the draft time. This guy, he knows his stuff. I get some of my insights from watching his videos, and he's probably accurate. Not 100% of the time, but he knows his stuff. So I really appreciate that. So before we jump into the episode, tell us why you created your YouTube channel. Why did you decide to hop on YouTube? Were you just a big fan of the game, or or you just wanted to, you
Interesting
know,
question.
yeah,
So I started out as a Green Bay Packers fan page, and then I just kept like getting into graphic design and like formats and everything, but I just kept running out of things to post just for the Green Bay Packers. So I tuned it up a little. I was like, well, why not cover the entire NFL? And YouTube, I have a friend who's got like 50,000 YouTube subscribers, and and he's like, he was getting to where like this is what he was getting paid to do, and I was like, man, that is so cool. And as I was trying to get more into graphic design and cinematography, I bought a camera, and I wanted to get into like just video quality, really good studio quality stuff. And so I started making YouTube videos and trying to get comfortable in front of a camera, which is something I was always like shy about and something I was never comfortable with. So I wanted to kind of break my boundaries and get into it. And the support started coming in, and Instagram and Twitter started, just helped me kind of build confidence. And this is kind of what I really started to enjoy doing. So, and I've met a lot of cool people doing it.
so that that is a great a great story to know. Why you started your YouTube channel. The same thing for me. It was actually more of a joke because I love the 49ers,
Yeah.
and people were just sick and tired because like during 2020, it's not a year to talk about, but basically
Right.
because of that, I basically went in front of a camera. My early 20, 30 videos were like garbage, but I got to learn, I got better, and
That's how it happens, man.
yeah,
My early videos were like, I was on a webcam and just starting out, and I was like, scratching my head the whole time. So it's all about learning.
yeah. So let's start off, with the NFL. Week 2 has finally ended, and basically the two big games, first the Monday Night Football, uh, the Packers won 35-17, and then of course, the Chiefs, lost to the Ravens on Sunday Night Football.
Yes, they
Do
did.
you have any thoughts on any of these two games?
Well, as a Green Bay Packers fan, I'm so happy that we shut out the Lions in the second half of football. I'm not excited about Joe Barry and the performances so far from our defense. Uh, Literally, the second half of this game was like the only 2 quarters we've had, scoreless. So we've been letting up a lot of points so far. But I was impressed with the second half of the defensive play from the Packers. The Ravens and Chiefs game was super fun to watch. Lamar made some questionable throws. I saw Patrick Mahomes make some questionable throws, tried to force some stuff. But it looks like the ground and pound game of the Ravens kind of just took over that Kansas City defense. Kansas City's never had like the strongest defense since Patrick Mahomes has been there.
So, piggybacking on the Packers and Lions game,
Yeah.
everyone first talked about what happened in week one. So I don't know if you saw the game in
I
week
did.
one,
I did.
and, and so a lot of like the talking heads on TV were basically saying that if the Lions beat the Packers, that maybe the Packers were going to have a very very tough year. And in the first half, it was a very close game, but then in the second half, the
Yeah.
Packers started to roll. What happened in the first half, and then what did they change in the second half? So that they commanded the game to get the final score 35-17.
Well, I think the halftime adjustments was they came out in the third quarter and started. I mean, gosh, they have like zero pass rush. I love Kenny Clark, and he's a great run stopper. Um, Rashawn Gary is supposed to have a breakout year. Haven't really seen it yet, but they finally started getting pressure on Jared Goff. And I think what really changed the pressure was that they were taking out key players like Rashawn Gary, Preston Smith. They were taking them out on like first and second down and leaving them, and then brought them in on third down. So they got a little rest, came out with some fresh legs a little bit, and on the third down to help stop. And I think that's what he changed. He also was putting in Eric Stokes a little more, a rookie cornerback, first round pick. Um, just kind of letting him play some one-on-one and just seeing and just testing him. And he made some great fourth down pass breakups. But I guess like what really changed the second half for them was just their defense stepped it up. Their offense remained consistent in scoring in the red zone, which is great, which is something Packers offense always struggles with. They're always hot and cold, drive by drive. They're either really hot or really cold. So they didn't really have any. I don't know if they had any 3-and-outs last night, and they just went after those rookie cornerbacks and young depth that they had.
Yeah, the thing about the Packers that I would say, because I don't follow the team, is that everything of all the noise, the news is about what is going on in Rogers' head, and
Yeah,
is it a dysfunctional organization? But uh, the Packers right now, even though whatever eternally that's going on between the coach and the quarterback and the team, doesn't really matter. But as long as they're performing really well, and the Lions gave a bit of a scare to the Packers, and when it came to them Monday Night Football, like the question was, like are the Packers in the right mindset? And for some reason, as you mentioned, they
yeah,
adjusted and they finished up strong in the second half. And it really shows you that the Lions, they were playing well, but once the Packers got back into the rhythm, so that game, 35-17. But just like every score line, you have to look at all the little details. And then my take about the Sunday Night Football game against the Chiefs, it was a back and forth game. It wasn't really like one team was commanding. At one point, it seemed that the Chiefs were going to win,
yeah,
and of course, at the end of the game, the fumble. I don't know if it was the running back, basically really sealed the game for the Ravens. And right now, the Chiefs, uh, like I said, as a 49er fan, the Chiefs, that's something, that I don't want to talk about. So I was just glad that the Ravens won. I don't
yeah,
follow the Ravens or the Chiefs, but I was just happy that the Ravens won. I just say that.
yeah. So I think since I think the Ravens are less of a threat because I just don't think I think Patrick Mahomes is literally like the top two quarterback in the league, right now. So I'd rather you as if you're a 49ers fan, I'd rather you guys face the Ravens than the Chiefs in the Super
Mhm.
Bowl. Well, you're because you're NFC, they're AFC, so potential Super Bowl. You'd probably rather go against the Ravens than the Chiefs. Um, I don't know. Like it was back and forth. I expected more out of the Ravens defense.
Mhm.
Not necessarily their secondary, but they've always been a very physical defense, and I just thought that it was kind of sloppy on both sides of the ball. Not like there's just turnovers all over the field. Yes, they were gunslinging it. They were just launching the ball, making crazy plays. Travis Kelce had an amazing run after the catch for a touchdown. And I'm not trying to take anything away from Lamar or Patrick Mahomes, but it's just like, Lamar had 2 interceptions in the first quarter,
Hmm.
and it was just kind of sloppy at first. It was back and forth, and it was high scoring, but it was just sloppy. You didn't really see dominance from either team until the Chiefs kind of took away. But both sides of the ball and the defense for me were just like it looked like college teams out there, on the defense.
Hmm.
I expected more defensively from the Ravens for sure.
Yeah, like that's the thing that I was going back and forth this year with the Ravens because the Browns got better. The Steelers, that's a question mark. We'll talk about them
Yeah.
in a moment. And then the Ravens. And then one of the things because before the season started, they lost their running backs for serious injuries.
Yep.
I think some of them are out for the year. As I mentioned, I don't really cover them, so that was going to hurt the organization and their secondary. They also are missing a lot of pieces. So right now the Ravens, they played against the Raiders. That was a back and forth game. So it didn't really matter who won that game, but against the Chiefs, they technically could have lost if that fumble didn't really happen. But at the end of the
49er
day,
fans and my 49er.
both teams are 1-1. I think
Yes.
Chiefs
Yep.
and the Ravens. Personally, as a 49er fan, I would like to get that revenge from the
Yeah.
Chiefs. I want to see that happen. But right now, it's still early in the season, so I can't think about 6 months from now,
Right.
about that. So
Yeah, they did lose. The Ravens lost key pieces. They lost Justice Hill, the running back. They lost J.K. Dobbins, season-ending injury. I think he had an Achilles tear or an ACL.
mhm.
They lost Justice Hill. Then they lost another running back. Like they literally lost like 3 running backs within a week of each other. Then they lost Marcus Peters, their cornerback, for the year. So yeah, they took a lot of hits. Yeah, I mean, not that I didn't expect them to perform well offensively. They've always been a running kind of game. But one thing I liked from what I saw was Marquise Brown, Hollywood Brown, kind of
Mhm.
make or break year for him. I think he hasn't really done too much in the NFL since he was hyped up and drafted, but he's looked good so far this season.
Let's see. I have someone new called Clap Nuts. Uh, y'all play fantasy? I do not play fantasies. I don't
What?
know. I don't play fantasy.
I play fantasy football. Yeah.
All right. Okay, so now let's move on to these games. Let's get them out the way. These are the blowout games. Not much to say. The Bills blew out the Dolphins. Patriots, blew out the Jets. The Saints again. Uh, you know, they won, and then they get blown out by the Panthers, which is very weird. And of course, I'm not even talking about the Falcons and the Buccaneers. So these are the
Yeah.
games I just wanted to get out of the way. But I wanted to get your take if you have any thoughts on any of these games.
I mean, well, I'm not really surprised by the score of the Dolphins versus the Bills, especially when Tua went down. I just don't see Tua as the franchise QB there. He just like it's not an elite offense. And I just feel like if they want to be an elite offense, they got to get a guy who's going to just sling it and can sling it reliably and accurately. And they have to beef up that offensive line. Their offensive line looked absolutely horrible. And if they ever want to compete, they've got the defense. They kind of hung in there for a while, but like after a while, you're on the field so much, you're gonna give up 35 points, especially when you have no offense to back you up. So their defense is good enough to keep them a contender, but their offense right now, I mean, it's not even visible. So they got to do something on the offensive line if they want to do anything at all. Not surprised by the Patriots-Jets game. Zach Wilson, I think, had 3 interceptions.
Yeah, 4.
4. Wow,
Yeah.
geez. So four interceptions. Not surprised. I mean, you threw a rookie out there. It's only week 2. Patriots have always had a competitive defense. Any Bill Belichick team defense, and his whole system is always well coached. And just not surprised by the result there. I really like Mac Jones and what he's doing. People are saying he's like game managing, but he's a rookie quarterback. Of course, he's going to game manage, and he's winning. So I can't blame the guy. I'm not high on Zach Wilson, so I think the Jets to me just horribly managed, in my opinion. um, the Saints and Panthers. I really like what the Panthers are doing. I like Sam Darnold there. I don't think he's going to be like, ever a top 10, maybe a top 10 potentially, but like a top 5 QB. That's not going to happen. But he's doing well there. So that score kind of surprised me just from the performance the Saints put on in Week 1, especially against the Packers. But yeah, that was interesting. And the Buccaneers, Falcons, Tom Brady, he's not slowing down.
I know, like basically, I knew the Bills were going to win the division. That team, they've developed, from the ground.
Yeah.
Basically, I don't have to say nothing. The Dolphins, they have a defense. I'm not saying their defense is the best in the league. And I've always questioned, Tua. I don't know why. I don't think he's going to succeed, but something's been, telling me the way that he performed last week.
Yeah.
And then when you're not able to put points on the board, so that's something I just scratch my head. So I'm not even gonna touch that. When it comes to the Patriots, Mac Jones, I've said this to even 49ers fans when this conversation of the draft. The best of Mac Jones is he's gonna probably be a good guy who will be a consistent winner in the league. Will he be elite? I think I'm probably one of the most negative people when it comes to Mac Jones because I'm not a big fan of the pocket quarterbacks. I enjoy a quarterback to be a bit mobile, a bit, not like Lamar Jackson, that's a little bit too much. Not Michael Vick, not Colin Kaepernick, but you do want your quarterbacks to be able to scramble and run out. So Mac Jones, I'm not sure if he has that or if they can develop that, but his numbers, set game manager and the Jets, even though they got Robert Saleh, our former coordinator, it's growing pains. So the question for Zach Wilson, I'm not even going to touch that. Yeah. I wasn't a fan of Zach Wilson even when he was with BYU. And when it comes to the Saints, I don't know what's wrong with that team. They blew out the Packers and then they lose to the Panthers. So I don't even know what to say about this matchup.
It's because our defense. It's just not consistent, man. The Packers defense. I'm not surprised the performance that Jameis Winston put up. It's just because I feel like Joe Barry is not a great defensive coordinator. He may have the potential to be, but he's got to make a lot of adjustments. But yeah, so I'm not surprised the performance Jameis put on against the Packers. I just expected our offense to perform better.
Yeah.
Panthers. But, I mean, he really flopped against Panthers, so that was surprising. And Kamara, I think, had like 5 rushing yards. So,
yeah.
I think they should have – they were relying too much on Jameis after his Week 1 performance. I think they should have tried to run it with Kamara.
And then, of course, the Buccaneers, they're the defending champions, and the Falcons.
Yep.
Their defense, basically, I will put a thumbs down because, Matt Ryan, as good as he is,
Yeah. I'm back. Sorry.
As good as he is, he's just one guy. They do have Calvin Ridley, and they did draft, Pitts, but you're asking too much when your defense is allowing points to score. So when it comes to all these games, there were blowouts for a reason, but at the end of at the end of the day, that's why you just want to just get through these games and just say your bits. And I want to see Luke Luna, and because I want to tell you something. Luke Luna, one of my channel members, said we're going to smash the Packers. It's going to be closer than it's been the last time we play them and blow them out. But we win the game in the trenches and end up winning. So that's Luke Luna.
We'll see. I'm not going to be surprised.
Well, I wanted to say this, when you were talking about the Packers and the Saints' performance, Jimmy Garoppolo. If your defense makes Jimmy Garoppolo look good, that's going to be something that I'm going to be laughing because I still question Jimmy Garoppolo. But
I do too.
If Jimmy has a good game against you guys, I just wanted to put that out there because our fan base, we talk smack about our quarterback, but at the end of the day, we're all 49er fans. But if you're saying that your defense is not, the defense that you thought it was, so I just wanted to say
the Packers, bro, our defense always lets us down. We either have a decent run stopping game or a decent secondary, but we never have just like the full package on defense, and we always have a stupid defensive coordinator. So, I mean, I don't know. You guys ran the ball down our throat, I think, in the NFC Championship, and that's not surprising. But y'all have like 0 running backs anymore.
That's true. That is true. I'm not even arguing.
But it's like no matter who they throw out there to play running back, they just do good.
Yeah.
Which is confusing. But y'all have like 3 injured running backs right now.
Yeah. We just signed someone from the Bengals, so I don't know nothing about him, but I'll check him out later.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. Just before the show the show started, I uploaded a video, but I got to do more research on him. But before, let's continue on with the show. So let's look at these games. I think these were the most exciting games, the close games. What I had to call was the Cowboys versus the Chargers, the Titans versus I'm not a big fan Seahawks. I'm just put that out there. The Vikings and the Cardinals games. Wow, what would have been if that field goal would have went in? And then of course the Rams are continuing to play really really good football. Out of these 4 games, which game were you were like wow, I this game kept me away. I had to watch the game. So
I would say the Vikings Cardinals, just because it was so high scoring. Kirk Cousins is a dog. Like he gets a lot of hate, but the guy can keep a game interesting. He always does. But they just the Vikings never really just run away with the game. It's always close. It's always high scoring. It's always fun to watch. But on the Cardinals side, the person I really loved watching play was Rondale Moore, if I'm pronouncing his name properly. He looked good. I mean, he looked really good, and I really enjoyed watching that game. I'm not high on the Titans at all. Literally, Derrick Henry's their only weapon. Julio Jones, A.J. Brown, Ryan Tannehill. Without Derrick Henry and the box being stacked, they would be nothing. Just in my opinion. So I'm not high on that. The Chargers actually surprised me. Herbert is not off to a great start of the season, man. He didn't look too great. I hope he picks it up because I have him as my fantasy QB. I have Derrick Henry as my fantasy running back. And I have Adam Thielen for the Vikings. So I was watching Thielen play. That's why I was like kind of focused on the Cardinals and Vikings. But that game was entertaining to me.
Yeah, I was watching a little bit of the Cowboys Chargers game with another podcaster.
It was sloppy.
I really didn't. Like I said, I'm a Niners fan. The Cowboys. I didn't even mention them. The Chargers, I was a little bit surprised that they didn't play so well. I don't know what happened. And of course, the Titans. I was so happy because I thought the Seahawks were going to win because I don't know what was going on, but Derrick Henry had almost 200 yards. I think I don't have the exact numbers in front of me right now, but
yeah.
And then I think he had like 3 touchdowns. So Derrick Henry is going to carry that team, and
like
I thought that was going to be a team that we might lose to, but the way they've been playing, basically the way they lost to the Cardinals, our rivals, and what they had to do against the Seahawks to come back, it's starting to make me feel that maybe the Titans are like one of these teams that looks like fool's gold. Looks like fool's gold to me. The Vikings, I don't know that kicker, so I'm not even going to say nothing. I'm not a Cardinals. I've been bashing on the Cardinals. Like if there's any Cardinals people watching, I've been bashing your team the entire offseason. I said I am not worried about your team, but they've scored 30, 31, and 33 and 34 now.
Yeah.
So
they have.
That's going to show you that if the Cardinals are be putting points, and then we play them, we got to match them up because our corners are young, and right now our corners is are one of the worst in our team because we've been getting everybody hurt these couple of weeks now, so it's getting really tiresome. So I'm gonna keep my mouth shut when it comes to the Cardinals, and when it comes to the Rams and the Colts, I don't know what's going on with the Colts, but I think the Colts are also fool's gold. So I don't know.
They made a dumb decision going for Wentz. Obviously they should have known he's gonna get hurt. You take that risk if you go for Wentz. Sorry, my headphone cord is like all jacked up.
That's all right.
You take a risk if you're going to play Wentz. The guy is injury prone. So, I mean, the Colts, I like their defense. I like their offensive line, but their offensive line isn't performing the way it should.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then without a decent quarterback, they're just going to be a mediocre team at best. So
Luke Luna says Jimmy G is going to carve up some cheese.
Well, I mean, he might. Honestly, I'm not. Jimmy G, I'm not saying he's a bad QB, but to me, he's not like a big spark to an offense. You know what I mean? Like he's a winner, but like he just never provides a big spark. Like I don't get this like exciting feeling from Jimmy Garoppolo.
I know, like we have our contingent, our basically our sides. So we have the Trey Lance has to play and keep supporting Jimmy Garoppolo, but Luke Luna, he's a big supporter of Jimmy Garoppolo. I still support Jimmy Garoppolo. I think he's one-dimensional. He's a guy who's a game manager, overpaid in my book. But I want to ask you a question because my boy CG Ruthless was having a conversation with an Eagles fan about Jair Alexander.
Yeah.
And in your opinion, before we continue on, because I think CG Ruthless wants to know this, and me too, is Jair Alexander, a guy who you think Debo is going to, like beat up?
Debo's a big-bodied guy. He looks good, right? Debo is looking really good this season. Finally, you're going to have a breakout wide receiver, a true number one, and I think Debo's that guy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think Ayuk is that guy yet, and I don't even think he's on the field. He's like hardly healthy or something. I don't know. But Alexander, to me, hasn't looked as impressive this season as he has in his first few seasons. So if he can pick it up, he needs to do it. But this is going to be a tough matchup for him. I think Debo is probably going to get the majority, probably going to get the win in this matchup.
Yeah. All right. So now let's move on to some more games. Not as exciting as the other four we talked about. So here's some more games. The Bengals versus the Bears. That was not a very interesting game, but it was a very tight game.
Yeah.
The Texans versus the Browns. The Texans. I'm not even talking about the Texans. They're just, well, I don't know what's going on. The Broncos, I'm a little bit surprised, and versus the Jaguars, but yeah, it's the Jaguars, so they're a rebuilding team, and of course the Raiders, back-to-back victories against two AFC North teams. Out of these four games, like which of you are like you most surprised, or you want to talk the most about?
I really like the Bengals. Ask him if he knows who the Juice Alert is.
Yeah, I don't know who that guy is. I'm sorry, CG.
I saw like a tag on Instagram yesterday. It was like Juice something. Is that Debo?
I don't know the Juice Alert, so yeah, I don't know. Sorry, CG. I don't know who he is. I'm not sure if he knows. So
I don't know. I guess
right.
I don't know. I thought I saw something familiar. Anyways, though, Bengals, I really like what their offense is doing, but they just, I guess, just couldn't get it going against the Bears defense. And I don't think the Bears defense is as strong as it used to be a few years ago. So Bengals really got to figure it out. They need to beef up their offensive line for sure, because that pass rush is something else for the Bears. I mean, they're pretty good. But the Bengals O-line is garbage, and they didn't do much to really improve it over the offseason. The Texans, I've been saying it all offseason. To me, the Texans had like the second or third best offseason out of any team. They've got nothing but veterans, seasoned veterans, and I really like what they've done given their situation. All new personnel, GMs, coaches, all that stuff. They've done really well for their situation. And now that Tyrod is out, Davis Mills was in. He looked good in the preseason as a rookie. So I really like the Texans, but I see them getting more wins than people think. I see them like as a 5-win team at least. Broncos, I really like what they're doing. I like Teddy Bridgewater. He's like you said, one-dimensional. I like that term for Teddy Bridgewater. More of like a pocket passer guy. He can move, but I just like what Teddy Bridgewater's brought to that team. He's finally gotten Cortland Sutton going. I really like Sutton. He could be their number one guy. He needs to be. They need to get Noah Fant more involved. And I really like what their defense provides. So not surprised that they took down a rookie, Trevor Lawrence, in the Jags. The Raiders, The Raiders are
Yep.
2-0. It's a fluke. They're not going to be a contender.
Oh, thank you for saying that. 'Cause
Yeah.
I live in the Bay Area. And we have Raider fans, and they enjoy, like, oh, hey, we're beat, we're at the top right now. So I'm
That's
not
not
gonna say
going to
nothing,
last. Yeah.
I'm not gonna say nothing about the Raiders, but if this is the fluke, we'll see what happens. Because uh, during the preseason game that we had against the Raiders, they were like, they were just saying a little bit too much stuff. They're entitled to it, but when it comes to the Raiders, it's a wait and see, one game at a time. Because even though
Yeah.
they won 2 games, I don't see the Steelers as a top team like they used to be anymore.